Okay, let me see a second. Come on. Hey guys, there's a couple of you here. Give me just 1 second. Oh. How you doing? Okay, there's 6 you guys. Give me 1 second. Okay. Huh. The flag in the background. The flag is back. And oh, okay. All right, sorry I'm late. Yeah. Just a second. We wipe the sweat off. I was doing trash prep before the storms come. I have trash cans out there and it blew away the other day, and I was trying to get on top because I had to go collect trash. All right, let me see. I got that. Now I'm sweating. It's humid as all hell down here. All right, so let me answer. There's only a couple of you guys, and I'm gonna get right into the story. All right. Damn it. Henry D, what's up? How you doing, Henry? All right. Nice through bed. Okay, let me do this. Cool. All right, deep breath, Rob. Henry, how you been? Throupet. What's up, Throupet? Convo with Upstate. Salute. I don't think Have you been? What's up, Scott? I don't know that. If I remember that. Turn this off. We're getting weather notifications, and according to the National Weather Service, I'm supposed to be blown away within the next 30 minutes. An 80% chance. Okay. All right. We're Spirit of New Orleans. He ain't shown up yet. Did he have something to say? Anyway, so how we doing? Notes, chewing tobacco. What's my table look like on the screen? All right, it's not as messy on the screen as it is in front of me. This, got this. All right, ready to roll. Okay, so when I jump into it, I'm not going to answer a question. Justin, have you ever been to Lincoln, Nebraska? No. And I'm going to start at 5 minutes, the story, and I won't stop. You'll see, you know who. I won't stop until I get the story part out, the facts and everything else. And you guys can jump in. You guys know stuff about the escape down in New Orleans? Alfie, what's up? Alfie, what did you say? You made a comment. What did you say the other day? I forgot. Was it you? I think it was. Oh, no. Somebody said that I slipped. I forgot what the exact comment was. I was gonna say something during the live. Okay, let's rock and roll. Calm. I was literally just running. I took like a cold shower before I did this at 10 minutes till, and then I had to go do the trash, and then it's really humid and shit down here. So, okay, so May the 16th, 1 a.m. According to media reports, we've got 10 inmates at the Orleans Parish Jail that pop their cell doors in a pod. Now, let me say this. A pod, what's my sound like? Okay. A pod is a cell block, basically, right? The way they were describing it, and I didn't really get that. That's why I was going to wait for Spirit of New Orleans or whatever, somebody from Louisiana. They were more describing it as like a cubicle. And I was really trying to get that figured out. but let's just say for all intents and purposes, a pod is a cell block, right? They had 10 guys that were pretrial detainees. I think one of them was waiting for transportation to the Department of Corrections, I think. Okay. So they pop the cell doors, and I'll get into that in a few. They go into a cell that has the stainless steel sink commode, is easy to remove. They removed it with tools. They have a hole behind there. They get out. 10 hours later, so 1 o'clock. So at 10:30, the public is notified, right? Shortly thereafter, the sheriff, she comes out and starts pointing the finger at basically, I think wasn't lawmakers, whoever was over the budget, okay? Saying that she's been requesting 5 million, 5.2 for upgrades for security, specifically for these doors, okay? Now, the doors. These doors were some of the first automatic cell doors that started. This is like the 90s stuff. In the 90s, when they started upgrading detention centers, they put these sliding cell doors in, right? They're on tracks, okay? And some of you guys might know this because I think a lot of people here have been incarcerated. There's only 17 right now, but, it'll be put in video fashion. So the tracks, even when these things were brand new, and I'm going to the Sebastian County Detention Center here in Fort Smith. It opened in 93, 94, beginning of 94. I went down in 93. I did a year, but they brought me back to the county jail. It was the new jail, and it was open. And I came back because I had a hot check charge that was dismissed because the bank account was closed or whatever. But what happens is guys were already popping these doors when they were brand new. So they're easy. Well, it's not easy, but you can slide them and get them off the track is what it comes down to. Or when it comes to the locking mechanism, you can put, say, what did I do with the shirt? So you can get like a shirt, a jumpsuit, a t-shirt, a clothesline, or what you make out of sheets, put it on the locking mechanism, which is basically like this, and you can jiggle it and pop that open. Guys would commonly do that to run. So when the guards weren't in the cell block or whatever, we're locked down. Or if I was in a lockdown pod, because I was in a lockdown pod for a while, when the cops leave, even if the cameras are on, nobody cares because most of the time cameras aren't being watched because there's too many to watch. Guys would pop the door and like run to a cell. Like let's say somebody had a store, for example. Okay. So you'd go to the guy who's a store man, you wanted to get a candy bar soda, or the dope man, or the guy making moonshine or wine or whatever the case may be. So, guys got nothing to do in jail. So it's like some people do just to brag and say, hey, I got out. You know what I mean? So that was like a common thing. In a lot of jails, they do that. Even during COVID, we were locked down during COVID in Terre Haute. And these doors were different, but guys popped the doors a lot in jail, okay? So that's not like a big thing. It's commonly done. So then you look at the inside of the cell or the hole. So you think Alcatraz back in the day, right? They cut the hole out of the back wall. By the way, anytime you've got a sink or commode or water, you got a pipe chase behind the cell. Now, those guys like struck gold because it looks like right behind that cell, maybe there was another wall. I didn't really see that. I know there was that one wall, and they show them running out of the Sally Port or whatever it is, right? In 1997, I was in a cell in Sebastian County that the stainless steel, that same thing that they took off, was the person that was in there before me had got it loose. And what we did is we put wine back there. It was a perfect wine spot. So we had it where you push up on it. I mean, it wasn't like super easy. You push up on it, and we didn't take it all the way down because we didn't want the whole thing to fall or the pipes to break or whatever. But we got it. One person would hold it, and we'd slide wine back down there. That's what we did. So I was watching, and they were saying that there may be inside. It was like They think it's like an inside job. They had access, other staff members, right? Or somebody. 3 people are on paid leave right now. So they're specifically talking about a tool, I think, thinking that nobody can take that off without a tool. Again, so I've watched like 4 live interviews with these people coming out, giving updates and stuff like that. So I'm not sure now if they've got any more new information here in the last 4 hours or whatever. But it's not like they needed a staff member in order to be able to take that stainless steel sink commode off. I can't tell you like off the top of my head what somebody would use, but when you're locked up, you get creative. You know what I mean? So like fingernail clippers. So they pass out fingernail clippers, once a week or whatever it was back then, and then people would steal them. And those little, that's like a major tool, a pair of toenail clippers or fingernail clippers, and guys get crazy and inventive and do all kinds of things with them, So I don't know exactly how, like I said, but the most important thing when it comes to all that is every hour in every jail, everywhere that I've always known, every hour staff's supposed to do a round. I don't care if you're in the SHU, general population, whatever. Okay. Now, that jail, like almost every jail or law enforcement agency throughout the United States, guards are supposed to physically see people do a round every hour. Okay. They're saying they're short staffed, 55, 60%, I believe. And it appears to me that they'd never had like guards in this place, like ever. So basically they were relying on somebody in control, central, the cameras, to monitor the cameras at all times. Somebody's supposed to have eyes on that block at all times. That's BS. Okay. And obviously it is, because look what happened. But they're saying that lady or the person went out for a snack break or whatever. Probably like the rest of those jailers, they're probably plus size people. I'm plus size. And even when you go out for break, they're supposed to have somebody like manning the cameras. And they didn't know till 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's just gross negligence and incompetence. That's a jail whose upper management is terrible, obviously, and then that trickles down, especially when it comes to the night shift, because people on night shift get relaxed, right? So this is a situation. Okay, so now I'm skipping. I got a little note in front of me. So here's what it is. You got the sheriff who's over the jail. I forgot her name. She comes out and she says that she's been asking for $5.2 million and blah, 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 blah. And it just started this whole big effect. The governor comes out now. The governor had a lot to say, and he basically points the finger at the DA, among other things. The Department of Corrections, the DA for not prosecuting, and on and on and on. And then today I watched the DA respond. It's it really is. It's like a soap opera right now. The problem's going to be is that the people who did nothing, the guys that are just trying to do their time and leave or whatever, everybody else, there's going to be repercussions of this that's going to trickle everywhere. They're already talking about the fact that some of these guys didn't have enough time, or that they didn't prosecute cases. A couple of them were assaulted and had a jail assaults on staff. The DA is blaming the sheriff's office because he's mad at the governor, because the governor was blaming the DA. And then you've got hardliners I'm watching on TV. They're talking about these guys should have never been on the street in the first place. This one has so many arrests. And you know what? I'm not saying that that's not true. And I'm really glad that they're specifically talking about violent offenders. So when they are speaking, they are talking about violent offenders right now, right? It does worry me because first you've got the fentanyl crisis, right? So you see all these people overdosing, and you got the public, the media spends it out. So then you got people wanting more time. I heard mandatory minimum talk again. In systems that are like already overcrowded, and you have people talking. So when something like that happens, then you have the solution because they screw up, then becomes bigger sentences, more time, truth in sentencing, and all that stuff starts coming up again, you know? I actually tried to do this earlier in the video. I was trying to do it very professional like because somebody was telling me I needed to do stuff differently. And I was having a hard time with it because I go on like I do, but I have to kind of get that down. But I wanted to do this in a video because I had my little bullets and points. And I figured, oh, you know what? I'll just come live and then I'll have people chime in and we'll talk about it together. But it's this whole situation with these guys, it's going to be bigger than in my personal opinion, it's going to be bigger than Louisiana. This is where it's going to just go like everything else when it comes to criminal justice, reform, non-reform, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, but yeah, so when it comes to doing the rounds, they weren't doing rounds. That's caused it. For sure, these guys are going to get. I'll be surprised if not all of them get caught. They're upping the reward money right now. That can go so far. I don't care if it's your girlfriend most of the times or whatever. Somebody's going to flip on these dudes as the money, especially as the money, gets to be more whatever. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's see. We got a bunch of stuff here. Okay, Lincoln, Nebraska, no. Very neat. Here we go with the neat shit again. Danny Santos, I got out the January 28th. It's hilarious, Rob. Yeah. Well, look, it is funny. I like watching it. I like the whole soap opera about it. But it bothers me or concerns me or worries me for the bigger picture for criminal justice reform. Why, Rob? I don't ever intend to going back to jail again. Period. But our criminal justice system in general, that's across the board. There's so many things that need to change. And really with programming, when it comes to sentencing, yes, I concede stiff sentences for violent offense and sex offenders, right? But that's not how it usually happens. It's like a one size. If somebody does something, it's everybody in prison, and then by effect, their loved ones that get punished for it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Anyway, figure it out. They should have put thought into trying to be. That was good. Every prison is short-staffed right now. You're right. Nobody wants to be a guard anymore. So they didn't want to be a guard. That's basically after, a few things happen. Number one is you have the war stopping, Afghanistan, Iraq. A lot of staff, a lot of those guys came back and they become correctional officers, right? A lot of times that's bad. It just depends on the individual. So you've got, that was a supply of workers or staff, potential staff members for prisons, those guys coming out of the military. And then you have the George Floyd thing, and then the governor was right about this. I'll give him that. You have liberal policies gone mad. When you start that bail stuff, the bail stuff went crazy. The idea was right. Rich people get out, poor people don't. I get it. Excuse me. I do get it. But when you've got people that are beating their wives or girlfriends, and then they get out, and then they go back and they go hurt them, I mean, it's ridiculous what they did. They did it allegedly for poor people, minority communities. But look at what's happening, and even look at the policies in like California or Oregon when they tried to do. And I know I'm going I'm trying to cover the whole umbrella, but you got places like Oregon that try to do the decriminalization of certain amounts. Then the fentanyl hits. Then they blame it. Then they blame the whole crisis up there on the legalization or the decriminalization for all that, and it just sucks. It really does, man. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and there's so many people I know that did drug dealers 20 years plus and get out and do it again. And if the goal in incarceration is to punish, repunish and rehabilitate, there's a point to where there's too much time that can be given to people. I do believe. And again, so I'm really, when I'm speaking right now, I'm speaking about drug offenders specifically, because I've tried to figure out what is the right amount of time to give people kingpins. Not talking about El Chapo. That's a whole different issue. I can get off on the Chapos right now, the snitches. But you give people, like they did in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, a boatload of time, 20 years, mandatory minimum starting at 10. And it's like it becomes too much time. Society changes so much, so fast, especially with technology, that people get out and get overwhelmed. I mean, I'm one of them, meaning being overwhelmed about technology and stuff, but then guys go back into crime. A lot of people, you know? And I'm not saying everybody, but you look at the statistics and the recidivism rate, and it's like something's got to give. And it's not going to with things like this. So these guys, even though they're trying to get out, and hey, man, if you know, some of these guys committed bad crimes and some bad people, whatever you want to say, going to escape. And you know, if you can do it and you're doing a life sentence, you can be that guy. God bless you, whatever. You know what I mean? Please don't hurt people. Please don't go on a crime spree and hurt people. But, you know, anyway. I'm still, I don't know, it feels like standing for 9 p.m. I still, that's funny. 50K a year to have poop thrown on you and the threat of being shipped. Okay. So it depends where you're at. If you're talking about Louisiana, I don't know the salary. The feds are more than 50 grand. So those guys, I know one of the cops would brag about him making 150 grand a year. 3 years in, 150 grand. That's the feds. They make them work overtime. So the newbies come in and they're forced to work like 16-hour shifts and stuff, you know? I'm all set. Oh, thanks. Okay. See, you ever met any C-dubs while doing your bit? Why don't I know what a C-dub is? What am I missing? I'm drawing a blank on you, bro. Is this a, okay, I'm not really sure. Roy, so this is a room. It looks like a new studio. That flag I just threw up, kind of a last minute thing. So once I put a time up, like, okay, I got to get done by 8 o'clock. And then I realized like all this different stuff I got to do. And the flag, Roy, I don't know how long you've been around. I used to keep the flag in the background all the time. Really what I want to do and what we'll do is get Convict Inc. logos, you know. I have to go get them done, the graphic art stuff. Henry D., you know stuff about that, right? I've never been to prison. I've overwhelmed and confused with my technology. That's what you're saying. Yeah. So the technology thing, it's just that it does get me like really, it gives me anxiety, man. That's what it comes down. That's what it does. It really does. But anyway, Roy, back to this. It's just, this room was painted. Actually, the wall in front of me is not painted. So this is paneling. This is just painted over paneling, okay? That's going to come down eventually. But the paneling started peeling some of it, you know? And that wall behind me, I have to mud it and drywall it and everything else. Anyway, so that's what you're seeing back there. So getting back, so the DA comes out, and this is another big thing. You know, there's such thing as fast and speedy trial, right? And that means you're supposed to go to court in a certain amount of time. The feds, I think they usually do in 120 days, I think they like to do. But you got these different states, or even in the feds, different counties that are backed up because of COVID. So Core Civic, Cimarron right now, has guys from the specifically, well, okay, it's Dallas, from Dallas East, I think it is, and then half of Oklahoma. They're all at Core Civic waiting. There's these big conspiracies that they're stuck waiting for like 2 years right now. They're that backed up. And this came up with the DA. The governor of Louisiana comes out and he criticizes. And he says, man, thanks, Roy. I really appreciate that, bro. Thank you. So the governor comes out and says that the Department of Corrections isn't getting guys fast enough, number one. That the DA is not prosecuting people in a timely manner. Number two, the prosecutors aren't prosecuting, or the prosecutors, U.S. attorneys, whatever, are not prosecuting jail cases. I have talked about this, and I tell you what happens, okay? And I'm talking about drugs here, not knives. I've watched firsthand Lewisburg when there was an attorney, U.S. attorney for that area, or assistant AUSA, who was prosecuting everything. Okay, so you get caught with, they prosecuted people for moonshine. Not at Lewisburg that I remember, but some of the FCIs did. I know guys that got 18 months for a steal, for making moonshine. But this guy was prosecuting syringes, simple possession like a smidgen, and everybody was getting, it was like 18 months was the minimum, right? And then they got a new U.S. attorney, and they had a don't prosecute jail, anybody in jail. They didn't want to take on these drug crimes from jail. When they did that, you got all of a sudden the place got flooded. Now, I'm not trying to hope for U.S. attorneys prosecuting jail cases for drugs. I do believe that correctional officers should get mandatory minimums if there's going to be a mandatory minimum. Okay, so let's take off the convict hat and let's put on the civilian hat. Okay, so it is true that when the U.S. attorneys don't want to prosecute, it trickles into the prison, and then the jail staff, the intelligence, like in the feds, it's called SIS, they know that they're not going to prosecute cases, and they don't like for their jails to look like they're flooded with drugs. Like, for example, they have to answer to Region. If you get a bunch of guys with dirty urines, at some point, Region comes back like, what the hell's going on there? Why don't you guys, there's too much going on in that jail. This is back in the day. Things have changed, by the way, and I got to add that too. So then the staff will just say, screw it. Like, they'll start giving people heads up on urine test, or they don't test, or whatever, and they'll let guys deal. Usually they'll pick people or let people, roll, meaning sell a lot of dope, especially the guys that they don't think are going to commit a bunch of violence behind it if people don't pay them. So they like pick and choose who they'll let make a bunch of money. They did that over and over again at Terre Haute. They let guys run for a couple of years and they come crack them. By that time, they've made tens of thousands of dollars. A lot of it goes straight to their prison account. They don't even try to hide it. Green Dot was a big thing for a while, from like 15 to 19 that I remember. But they let these guys make money. Then they'll come and step in. You know what it really is? A lot of those guys are snitches too. A lot of the guys, the bigger dope guys, like mob bosses, like gang leaders, like they're rats. So they give up information, and in order for that, they let them sell drugs. It works like that too. So who knows? Anyway, but thanks for that, Roy. I appreciate it. Membership. So we talked about this in one of my last lives. Primo jumped on here and talked about stuff I've got to do. Keep up the good work. 180 days. 180 days. Is that you? You're talking about how long I've been out now, Roy? I'm not really sure. Or you're saying you got 180 days clean? I'm not really sure. The flag is back, Steve. Yeah, it is. There's a couple of them, and I just noticed like stains on this right now. I don't know if you guys. No, you can't really see it that good, so it's okay. It's all right. Anyway, so the people that are memberships, I am going to do something. So there's 11 days left this month. I don't know if it's going to be a private chat. I'm something, and I'll get that determined by tomorrow. By the way, Parker, if you're listening, after I'm done here, I'll give you a call. Just to be clear, this is beeping. There's alerts coming. Yeah. So what else? Okay, I'm finally kind of settling down. I was amped up there for an hour. What else? Shoot me something. Oh, there was a lot. No, The DA, what did the DA say? It's going to bounce off. I don't know. All right, we'll figure it out. Speaking about crime, so out of Florida, that sheriff that loves himself, that's constantly on the news. He just busted some correctional officers in his jail, and he actually said that he wanted the maximum penalty for these guys because they should be held to a higher standard, and that is true. So when you're talking about introduction cases, when you're talking about bringing drugs into the prison system, and again, that's convict hat off, civilian hat on. Correctional officers should not. There should be like a no tolerance for that. I mean, if you're really trying to do something, and then ideally it would be drug free with programs. You know what I mean? And if we're going to dream some, that would be what incarceration should be more geared towards. Like life on the streets in little small towns where people are bored and there's a big substance abuse problem because of boredom. I'm saying this to one person specifically. There's boredom in jail too. So drugs help kill time. If there was more meaningful programs and people got into, you know what I'm saying? Maybe things would be different. No, things would be. I shouldn't even say maybe. That's not true. Looking good, buddy. I'm not gay, just a fella out of China. Okay, I got you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, bro. I was thinking about something. Trying to recover. So you've got 108 days is what you're saying. That's great. The thing that I'm lacking right now the most is meetings. And I've really got to start doing that. Okay, Kurt, you're going to kick it off, aren't you? Let's see, Kurt. Do you have any stories you heard about Leonard Peltier or that Green Beret that killed his family? The Green Beret that killed a family. If maybe tell me more about that. Leonard Peltier. What would you like to know about Leonard Peltier? I know Leonard Peltier. There's videos that I've done about Peltier. I'm glad he's out. I am. Leonard Peltier's case. Let's forget guilt or innocence. You guys don't know Native American activists. Most people do know. If you don't know, look them up. Leonard Peltier's case was tragic, meaning not on the facts of whether he did it or not, but the case in general should have been out. Here we go. Here, I just saw lightning crack on the side. It's getting ready to really storm here. He got screwed. Leonard Peltier got screwed big time. When he went to Canada, for example, that whole extradition thing going way back, that case should have never made. And Clinton was gonna commute his sentence. It was like a done deal. And then you had 5,000 family members of FBI family members that went and stormed the Capitol or whatever. But it was like a lock. And he didn't get out, and he went through it for a minute over not getting out. So I did a video about it. Leonard was pissed off at a guy by the name of Bruce Neighbors from Arkansas. Bruce worked in the library and had a crush on the lady that worked there, okay? And a lot of guys, when they start getting infatuated with female guards and stuff, they'll tell them everything. So there are female guards that play that flirt game to try to get information, and dudes constantly will give shit up, because they're trying to hit it. You know what I mean? Bruce was all over this girl. Well, anyway, there's 2 copy machines in the library. One of them, and if you're a legal beagle or you're a legal guy, copies are like everything. You know what I mean? So if you can get free copies, it's on. Well, he told that one of the copy machines was giving out free copies. And it affected Leonard at the time specifically. Anyway, and a few other people. I forgot what I said in the video. It's been 3 years now. So here's what happens with that. This is going to be too long of a story. I don't know. I can take up way too much time with that, bro. Uh, yeah. So that's gonna be that's gonna go down a whole. Hold on a second. DeGost, I'll get back to you. Robert Ross says, Spirit of New Orleans. There you are. Talk with. Okay. I'm okay. Kurt, I'm thinking about right now. Okay, so here's so I got a video, man. Look, I had a cellie who I did not like. This guy's name was Finn. Okay. Finn he had a bad childhood, terrible childhood. He got busted with a semi full of marijuana. Basically, he was one of the guys that cartels tipped off. So if you guys don't know it, some cartels. Why is you guys see that? You said something about the haunted house. You see the copy machine right now? Anyway, you guys don't know it. Cartels work with law enforcement. They have systems in place. They save the people they like and they'll throw away the people they don't. That's no secret. It happens at the border all the time. Get somebody that they pay to bring a load back, but really they're being paid, so they bust them so they get the bigger load across. This guy Finn got busted. He was set up. Okay, he was nobody. They set him up. He got 10 years for marijuana. Real slow, not a bad guy, just slow. And he started doing drugs and he got himself in debt. And the first thing he did is wanted to join the Dirty White Boys. He got in debt. Nobody, so he came to me, what do you think? And I already knew the answer. Plus, there's no way I'd even say. Plus, he would have to probate behind me. Meaning, he wanted to be a dirty white boy. If he was going to be on probation, he'd be under me because he was my cellie and I brought it to the table. What ends up happening is somebody said that they would give me, so a contract came out on Bruce Neighbors, okay? Bruce was from Arkansas. I knew Bruce well. It wasn't nothing personal. Wasn't nothing personal. I just wanted to get rid of Finn. So I didn't even go to none of my brothers and say this guy wants to be a dirty white boy. I took the contract and told Finn, this is a scumbag move, by the way. This is what the D in dirty stands for, okay? All right. So I took the contract and told Finn that this was like his probate. Like if he went and hit Bruce. When I say hit, I'm talking about assault. Just go punch him out or something, If he did that, then he would be patched up, basically. I don't even know how I put it. Didn't matter. I was so loaded, to be honest. And at that time, I was in the cell by myself. He just came out of the hole. I did not want him in the cell. So it was like, I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to get a bunch of money and I'm going to get rid of this dude. It wasn't even about Bruce, the victim, okay? And this guy tells me that he wants to stab him or cut him up or whatever. I did not believe it. I did not believe he had the heart to do it or was cut like that. I didn't. He goes to the chow hall with a razor and a sardine can lid, folded over and sharpened. It was burrito night. It was a Tuesday night. And I watched because I thought that he was just going to go punch Bruce. Really? I really did. And then kind of half expected Bruce to get up and whoop his ass. Bruce was a nut job law library guy, not a bad guy, but he was really so he got into the sovereign citizen argument and everybody was going to get out of prison because we didn't have capital letters and all kinds of weird shit, right? Finn walked up behind Bruce. Bruce was eating. Bruce did not even know who Finn was. Finn took a razor and the sardine can lid, come up behind him and hit him. His face fell. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And I just remember Bruce getting up and he went like this because his face fell. So it was connected by his lips still, but this all fell. And you can see the molars or whatever. He's holding his face and he looks at Finn and he screams, I don't even know you. Like, why did you do it kind of thing? And then I remember Finn yelling, because you're a snitch. Snitched about the copy machine, which, by the way, a lot of people in prison knew that he did that, and a lot of people were mad at him. Okay, so Bruce just ran off, and then Finn went to the hole. This is not funny. Finn went to the hole. I had some of my other brothers over there, and he went and told them, "Yeah, man, I just did a hit for Rob. So, I don't know how I'm going to be back here, but how am I going to get my ink and my patch, right?" And my brother Wilbur said, "Do what? Rob would never do nothing like that," and beat the shit. It's not funny. It's scumbag prison shit. Okay, but that's what happened. That tied into Peltier. Okay, that's how that story just came. There's a whole video about it. Okay, that gets into detail. Otherwise, Leonard Peltier, he went to Lewisburg when I was there. I ran a big store. The Indian guys, some of them liked him, but he was not liked in prison after a period of time. A lot of the natives had a problem with him. So at first he was like a godlike figure. So before I got into the feds, and even let's just say up until about 2001, there was a point to where he was really somebody and a godlike figure, but what was going on the outside about him was not going on the inside. He did treat other natives less than. He did. I'm trying to think. I got the storm windows up because there's hail and stuff right now. Anyway, the other natives, a lot of them didn't like him because he was really terrible to his cellies. If you lived with him, you were the houseboy. There was rumors about, I don't even want to get into all that, but you were like, he had people making up his bed and stuff. He got to be like too much for real. But what pissed me off, the problem I have with Leonard was, Leonard had money. His wife lived wherever the feds would transfer him, from what I understand. And I was